recommending to eat foods not at the same time. And they were saying that you could have better, which was not, what they were saying was not based on science, but you could have better absorption and utilization of nutrients if you ate this food here, and then that food then, and this food then. But the body is already set. You don't need to do that. You can eat all foods together because the body is already separating out. So for example, when you start eating, first thing that happens is you start breaking down carbohydrate. You produce amylase in the mouth. You go to the stomach, you stop digesting carbohydrate, then what happens is you start breaking down protein. So protein digestion begins in the stomach. Those stomach acids can denature the proteins, they unravel, and we start making some of those big protein chains into smaller protein chains. Then we go into the small intestine. Well, the small intestine is so long, it's 23 feet long, that this part, the upper part of the small intestine, is probably going to do some of those minerals that need to be absorbed in a slightly acidic environment because the upper duodenum is still more acidic because the stomach acid is just dumped in. These things absorb better with a more neutral environment. So really, your body is already, if you have a healthy GI tract, your body's perfectly efficient of being able to, start digest all your food. Don't need to eat. The main thing is not overeating, obviously, because that's going to be a problem. Okay, so we look into the cells. So these are those microvilli that I was talking about, and we have digestion. Most of the stuff goes to the blood and then goes to the liver. We will talk when we get to the fat chapter. It turns out, you don't have to know it for the first test, so if you want to just not worry about it and then focus on it when we talk about it again. So almost everything you digest, all your carbohydrate and your amino acids go directly to the liver after digestion. Your big fats go directly to the lymphatic system. But we'll talk about that later. And we can see here, this is the villi, and then those are the microvilli. We have a huge amount of ability to digest and absorb. And of course, just like we have all this blood going to the lung to get the oxygen, we have all this blood going to get the nutrients. Okay, so how do we control levels? Hopefully this is a review. If we have hyperglycemia, we produce insulin from the pancreas to bring the glucose levels down. If we have hypoglycemia, what do we produce from pancreas?
Glucagon.
Glucagon. Need like a white type. I know that didn't show up. So glucagon, Glucagon, glucagon. Okay, so what happens to it? We convert to either liver or muscle glycogen if we're not using it directly, or if we have to, we store it as fat. Now, you can excrete excessive amounts in the urine, but that's not common, and if you start spilling a lot into the urine, that's usually indicative of a problem. Okay, so blood glucose, liver, muscle, stored as fat, or we excrete it in the kidney, or we use it directly for energy. So, how much energy do we store as carbohydrate in the body? 5 grams maybe for blood. Liver glycogen, maybe 75 to 100 grams. And obviously you can break down or increase, change by diet. And muscle has 360 grams. Okay. So there does seem to be, I'm not going to test you on this number, but it does seem to be an upper limit to how much carbohydrate you can store in the muscle. Now, how would you get your body able to store the maximum amount of carb it can, genetically, the genetic potential it has? Yeah, train. You always train. You practice eating more carbohydrate. You use it. You store. Right. Practice. So you can easily increase and decrease. Okay. So really, basically, you can only store roughly 2,000 calories worth of carbohydrate. Meaning, if you are doing any kind of serious ultra endurance event, you need what? You're going to have to use what for energy? Fat. Right. All right. So, are there any questions? So, do we have class on Friday?
No.
Do we have class every other Friday?
No.
Are you going to review your math if you're weak in math?
No.
I need that problem set. You're not turning in yet, and then imagine